Good day, poker peeps. This is Sky with Smart Poker Study, and thank you very much for joining me for a little lag exploitation video. So, in a recent podcast, episode number 347, and you can find it down there, smartpokerstudy.com/pod347, or just click the link in the description down below. Well, in that episode, I gave quite a few different tips for exploiting loose aggressive players. Tip number one, and I'll read it to you right now. Because you get to the flop with tighter ranges that are more likely to hit the board, you can withstand more post-flop pressure from loose aggressive players with wider ranges. They're betting and barreling their draws, marginal hands, and complete bluffs. You can call down the streets with second pair, weak top pair hands, and your best draws when the price is right. So, in this video, I have 4 different hands up against a loose aggressive player that I played where I exploited them. Some hands are good in winning, some hands are losing hands, right? Because there are downfalls or pitfalls to making plays like this, playing against loose aggressive players and calling them down the streets with some kind of a showdown-worthy hand. So let's just start with this one. You can see I moved the Smart HUD off for all the players that don't matter. It's us right here at Hero versus Villain 2. So let's just start walking through the action. Villain 2 limps into the pot, fold, fold. Now, I have the option, of course, I can, and I often do raise against players like this. But I know this villain, and when he limps in, he wants to see the flop, right? If I want to raise right now to get him off the flop, I've got to make it at least 4, 5, 6 big blinds potentially. But here's a benefit or a good reason to just check right now. I'm keeping my range wide in his views, but at the same time, I'm at the top of my range. This is at the top of my checking range. King, Queen suited, I'd probably most likely raise. Ace, King, Ace, Queen, better hands than King, Queen, I'd be raising those two, right? I'm at the top of my range. He doesn't know that. For all he knows, I have 9 deuce offsuit, right? Something I just checked out of the big blind. So keeping my range wide in his perception, but it's actually a very strong hand. And if we hit the flop right, I get a good pair. He gets a pair as well. I'm going to be earning a ton of his in-position betting chips right here. So I check. Flop comes down, Queen 9-3. I got the top pair. Good kicker, right? I check, allowing him to bet. Oh, full pot right here. Look at this. C bets 88, then 50, and bets on river 32% of the time. Not flop honest at all, right? But that's not the wettest board in the world. Couple of spades, straight draw is possible as well. But I don't mind just check calling, allowing him to continue barreling with weaker hands on future streets. So I make the call. I wouldn't fault a raise if you chose to raise here, but I don't mind making the call because, like I said, you can be calling down, especially when players are willing to barrel with draws and marginal hands and complete bluffs. You can give them 1 extra street to potentially kind of catch up. Not that you want him to catch up, but allow him to keep throwing chips at you. Now, the 8 of clubs comes, completes a straight. What a shame, but I decide to check. And I guarantee at the time when I played this hand, my idea was to check and then call just about any bet that he makes because I know he's capable of bluffing, especially in position. Whoa, full pot once again. Now, you got to think about bet sizing and what that means against a very tight player or like a loose passive 39-1. If this player is double barreling full pot, he's got a strong hand. I wouldn't find the fold every time right here with top pair good kicker. But against this player, potentially, I could. This player, too, 35-4 player as well. But this guy, 2014, 85, and 78, double barreling. Now, I think I'd have to call a second street right here for sure against him, as well as Villain 2, as we can see. So I call. Now, the 10 hits. Man. 4 to the straight now. 2 pair got there and stuff. Queen 10, 10-9 just got there. 8, 9, 9 jack as well. Better than me. So I check, and now he bets full pot. Now I just have to dive into my history against this player. What do I know about him? Very loose aggressive. I've seen him triple barrel bluff in the past. As you can see, I have over 1,000 hands. It's actually 1.1K hands on this player. I know him. I know he's capable of triple barreling, and I set up this whole check flop in order to call flop and turn with the top pair hand. If I fold now, I'm just giving up on my plan when I know this player can triple barrel bluff against me. So I make the call. Now, raising is another option, right? If I raise here, could he give me value with anything worse? Well, what worse queens does he have? Does he have a worse top pair queen, like Queen 7 in his range? Maybe, but on a board like that, a top pair queen is often going to think, hey, I got some showdown value. If my opponent was calling with a couple of spades, my queen's going to win. He won't give me value. I'm just going to check. So I think he could check behind with Queen 7 right here. What about a 10 or a 9 or ace high hand? I think those are all checking behind. Oh, I'm sorry. All those weaker hands are potentially making this bet right here because he wants me to fold. He doesn't like his showdown value all that much. So I call. And he has a queen, king 5 for a flush draw, triple barreling the flush draw. Awesome, right? Got loads of value, 67.5 big blind pot, earned about 34 big blinds from this player. Loving this hand. And basically, I was just using this strategy right here. I know he's capable of bluffing. I call with it, or I hit a top pair hand, and I just call all through the streets. Next hand. But with this hand, sometimes that plan can backfire against you. So we've got the 8-9, small raise. Yeah, 27 hands, but 3 bets at 17%, 1 out of 6, 33%. This guy's a loose aggressive player. Plus he has position against me. It's only 1.2, so I make the call. Top pair, weak kicker right now. Check. And he bets. Now, look at that tiny bet. I could raise him to charge him for any king, queen, king, jack kind of overcards he could potentially have right now. But like I said, one of my plans against loose aggressive players is to let them spew chips against me. So I don't fault a raise. At the same time, I don't fault a call right here. Although you're kind of risking an ace, a king, a queen coming, him barreling, and you folding. Ah, the 6 comes. It's an undercard. Great. We check. And he bets again 6 big blinds. Now, the 6 doesn't really change anything. If I was good with the 8, I'm good with the 6 as well right now on the turn. So I call again, knowing that he could be barreling with flush draws, 2 overcards like queen, jack. I guess he could be barreling with pocket 7s or something. Maybe even, I don't know, ace 4 for a gut shot. Could be barreling with that stuff. Now the queen hits. Oh, that is lovely. Here's the interesting thing. I check, and he bets 18.8. It's practically a full pot-sized bet. I don't think I know enough about this player. Sure, he's looking loose aggressive, but look how his bet size increased from street to street. Tiny bet, whoops, tiny bet pre-flop right here. But on the flop, 1.4 big blinds, that's a small bet. But now he made almost a pot-sized bet, 6 big blinds into 7.7. He means business right now. And a full pot-sized bet practically on that river definitely means business. Straight draws hit on that 6 of clubs on the turn. The flush draws just now got there on the river. I should fold. I gave way too much value. And he shows, of course, ace-king. The way he played it from pre-flop all the way through to the river makes absolute sense. He got great value out of me. This was a mistaken hand against a lag. And that's going to happen sometimes, right? You're just trying to rely on these lag tendencies. But here's one thing. You can call down the streets with weak top pairs when the price is right. That bet was not right. I need to be right 33% of the time. Is he bluffing me with a non-flush and a non-queen 33% of the time? I don't know enough about the player to know that he's capable of doing that. So to me, this is a fold, and I done screwed up. All right, let's take a look at the next hand here. Open the king, queen. You can see villain will be 31, 27, 18. Not a big sample size, but he's looking loose aggressive. And he makes a smallish 3-bet right now. And then, of course, you call, or I call. Now, I hit that top pair, king, queen once again, but this is a king high board this time. He bets 2/3 pot. Now, he's looking loose aggressive, and of course, he could have ace king right now and is totally crushing me. But I have position against him. I can make this one street call and assess on the turn, see what's going on. Now, I don't know a ton about him to know that he's capable of double and triple barrel bluffing, but at least this one street, I think it's too soon to give up with such a strong hand. There's flush draws, there's straight draws possible. Ace 5 of spades has a gut shot. Ace 9 of hearts. If he can 3-bet those pre-flop, maybe ace 10, ace jack of hearts, they have flush draws, right? So I'm calling, I'm ahead of some of his draws that are making this bet. Oh, the queen hits 2 pair, loving that. I'm ahead of ace king now. I'm ahead of pocket aces, not pocket kings. Of course, I'm ahead of all of his gut shots and his flush draws and stuff. Loving this card right now. Now, he bets half pot. Sized it down from 2/3 to half pot. Maybe he's feeling a little squeamish, or maybe he knows that if I call this, he's only got 59 big blinds behind, and there's going to be 82 in the pot. Really easy for him to get it in on the river. Or he could be scared. Maybe he has pocket jacks and wants to throw a cheap bluff out there. So I want to keep his bluffs in. I don't want him to readily fold because it looks like he doesn't like his hand. If I raise here, I think he's folding quite often. So I elect to just call right now. Remember, keeping him or allowing him to continue that aggression against me when I have a very strong hand at this point. And of course, that pot's going to be so big. If he checks, I can shove and get it in, and maybe he can call with a king 10 right now, or a king 9, or an ace king even, right? So much he can potentially call me with. But he does the work for me. He shoves. I'm loving this. I just call, top 2 pair. Ace jack beats me. A set of 10s beats me. But really, I think he's capable of doing this with ace king, pocket aces, king 10 maybe that just now rivered 2 pair. Oh, lovely. So sometimes this happens, right? I called down pre-flop and the flop with a far inferior hand. But I have position. I can assess on the flop, the turn, and the river what's going on. Hit that 2-pair hand. I was able to crack his aces with a king queen. But I did it because he's a loose aggressive player in general. He had pocket aces right now. I didn't know that. This could have been pocket 4s that he 3-bet me with pre-flop, or ace 5 suited or something, right? That's why players like this get aggressive. That's why they're loose aggressive, to get max value when they get dealt the big hands like pocket aces and stuff. But sometimes, because of their nature, I'm untrusting, unbelieving, so I make the calls. Now, I think all these calls from flop through the river, and pre-flop too, I think they're all justified given his player type, and that small, if you remember, that smallish 3-bet size pre-flop, like, this is a bet, a 3-bet that's often a bluff, but it's also like screaming, I want value, come back over the top he wants from me. I didn't give it to him. I just called, assessed the flop, and then went from there. One last hand to look at, ace 10. Now I raised to 3 big blinds. He 3-bets right now, 67-21. Very loose aggressive player, kind of maniacal. He calls 2-bet 74% of the time. 3-bets 13%, 5 out of 38. Very loose aggressive player, loves seeing flops. So I got one thing going, or 2 things going for me, I would say right now. Ace 10, which is way ahead of a lot of his 3-bet range. If you ever want to look with PokerTracker 4, click this note editor. Oh, look, Maniac, Risk Taker, look for tilt, call down super light. I have a note against him right here. Anytime I put notes in all caps, those are directions to myself to do something, right? So I'm telling myself, look for tilt, call down super light, even versus offsuit, even versus overshoves with top pair. That's what OS means. So if you see right here, his 3-bet range, kings plus, 10s, 4s, king 10 suited, ace 9, ace 5, king jack, queen 10, queen 6, 10 deuce 5 3. Yeah, I'm calling with my ace 10, right? So I've got a good hand versus the ranges or the hands that he's capable of 3-betting with. Plus I have position against the player. Plus look at that, c-bets and barrels, a heck of a lot. Wow, if I hit something good, I can get crazy good value out of this player. So I call. Top pair, not the best kicker, but I'm ahead of his ace 5, his ace 7, his 6 7, his any 2 diamonds right now. I'm ahead of that stuff. He bets 18 full pot. Now, players like this, 67-21, they love to throw chips at the pot, and they like to use big bets to really put the screws to you, punch you in the face with their aggression. But I wasn't having it, you know. I called right here. Now, if it was a totally different player, like we saw on that prior hand, a 36/1 or 40/5 kind of player, very loose passive, or maybe a very tight aggressive player, 12-10 or something, I could find a fold here potentially, right? But I wouldn't have called in the first place with ace 10 offsuit, because tight players or passive players, they're only 3-betting with strong pairs or ace king. My ace 10 is way behind that. Against a different player, I wouldn't even see this flop. But because he's loose aggressive, I see the flop. The deuce hits right there. Doesn't really scare me. Makes the board a little bit wetter. Heart draws, diamond draws are still there. Straight draws, a gut shot's now there. Completes a straight, but is this player gonna... He calls so much, 74% of the time. And we saw his 3-betting range. Is he gonna raise with 4-5? Or is that a hand that he's just gonna call and hope to hit an open-ender on the flop, right? 4-5 hit an open-ender, just complete it on the turn. Now we can go for max value. I think he's going to mostly call instead of 3-betting pre-flop, so I can't put him on ace-5. On 4-5, I mean. Now he bets 54. This is sometimes what you have to do. You have to close your eyes, you know, hold your nose, don't breathe in or something, because you know that a player like this is capable of big-time bluffs. He could be doing this with pocket aces too. But there's 2 hearts, 2 diamonds, ace 4 for pair plus gut shot. Could be doing it with a set of 3s and set of 6s too. That board got so wet, he's going for max value. But I think plenty of times, a player like this, capable of c-betting and then barreling so often as he is, he's got plenty of bluffs in his range. So I make the call. Now, you might say to yourself, Sky, you should just raise. And I agree with you 100%. I should have raised right now, should have shoved all in for my remaining 19.4 against his remaining 18.5. But maybe at the time, I wasn't looking at stack sizes like I always should, like we pointed out in a prior hand, right? I think if I could do this over again, right? And if I'm thinking about what he could be making this bluff with, a couple of diamonds, a couple of hearts, ace, 4, things with equity, I might as well just get it in now when I'm ahead of all those hands, especially when he's not folding. He's not folding a couple diamonds, not folding a couple hearts, not folding ace 4, right? He's not folding ace 7, ace 8, ace 9 either, other aces that I beat currently. So I think the better play would have been to shove right now. But I called, leaving a tiny stack behind. I'm not folding no matter what happens on the river now that I put this much in, because I know he's capable of betting with worse hands. The 4 comes, oh, I guess ace 5 just now completed. King, queen of hearts just now completed with a flush. He puts 19 in, but I know he's just going to make the same bet with ace 7, with pocket 10s, all that kind of stuff, right? Things that I'm ahead of right now. So I make the call. And then look at that, lovely. He was able to triple barrel, 3-bet pre-flop with queen 10 offsuit, triple barrel big on all 3 streets. River wasn't big, but he shoved. With a really subpar hand in a spot where, let's look at it from his perspective real quick. Okay, I called his 3-bet pre-flop. Calling ranges often have a ton of broadways, and they are ace 10, jack, ace queen, ace king as well. So the ace hits. Okay, well, if I don't have an ace, if I have pocket 10s to call, if I have king, queen suited, even if it was king, queen of diamonds, if I have pocket 4s, I'm folding versus this large bet. But I called. That should have told him I have an ace. Now the deuce hits. He's not thinking about his image. He's not thinking about my range, right? I'm calling him once again because I have probably any ace in this spot. I am going to be calling him because I know he's capable of tripling. If he would have realized that, if he would have thought about what does my opponent have, if he would have asked that about me, at this point, calling on the flop, he's got to know I have an ace. Can a lag get a top pair ace to fold? Now, who knows what he's thinking? But most likely not, right? So I think these are futile bluffs right now. The 54 big blinds and that 19 on the river, futile. Why would I ever? He just gave up at that point. When he put the 54 big blinds in, he says, I'm going with this hand, I'm not folding no matter what. Maybe he's thinking I can call with a queen 9 on the river. I don't know what he's thinking. I think he just wants me to fold, but 162 versus 19, ain't no way I'm ever folding. Alrighty, thank you everybody so much for watching the video. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up down below. And please take action on this for yourself, right? Pay attention who your opponent, the type of opponent you're up against. And when you're up against those lags, and they can be bluffing with draws, weaker top pairs, second pair hands, straight up bluffs, jack high on an ace king high board. Go ahead and take the chance and call them sometimes. Let them spew chips at you. Use their aggression, their over-aggression against them with this strategy. All right, thank you so much once again for watching, and I'll catch you later.